why he wrote it and all that stuff. But the Pope at the time, the Bishop of Rome, asked him to write this. He's in southern France. It's not an easy little trip in the 400s. It wasn't easy when Dominic did it. Still probably a little easier for Dominic maybe than this. There were a few more trade routes. We're talking, a little bit more going on. So the Pope said, write this for me, please. Argue against what Nestorius is saying. So his connection into the central ecclesial reality of the church is important. He was a monastic, deeply in touch with what the spiritual life called for a person in a monastery, but also aware that he lived in the ecclesial reality connected to other people. In Benedict's rule, he really praised, Cassian, and said that his monks and nuns should be reading Cassian. Okay, and sometimes probably in the refectory, in the dining room. I'm guessing some of it was read. It's good stuff. But again, small doses. Some of my favorite quotes by Cassian. He quotes Anthony as saying, "It's not perfect prayer when the monks are aware of themselves or even that they are praying." That's pretty deep. Have you been there? I'm not sure I have, but it's my goal. Another quote, "When the soul is solidly rooted in peacefulness, when it's freed from the bonds of every carnal urge, when the unshaking thrust of the heart is toward one's supreme good, then the words of the apostle will be fulfilled, pray without ceasing. In every place lift up pure hands, and with no anger and no rivalry." Sensibility is, so to speak, absorbed by this purity. It's reshaped in the likeness of the spiritual and the angelic so that all its dealings, all its activities will be prayer. Utterly pure, utterly without tarnish. It's impossible for the mind to understand undisturbed by thoughts, to remain understood. Let me start that again. Those distractions. It's impossible for the mind to remain undisturbed by thoughts, but anyone serious about the matter can certainly permit them entry or drive them away. And although their origin does not lie utterly under our control, we can choose to approve them and to adopt them. So what about Cassian sparked in me? Why do I care about this guy? First of all, he was a serious guy and willing to move and to risk and to do and to say. That's a big thing. He put himself out there. He took big risks. Now, he and Germanus moved from their little Bethlehem monastery to Egypt, wandered around for 7 years, okay? Wandered back to Bethlehem, wandered back to Egypt, went up to Constantinople and over to Rome. He took a risk. For Cassian, he also saw that commitment, love, prayer, and contemplation have very practical outcomes and sources. The practical outcomes of prayer, for Cassian, you could not pray perfectly beyond just the distractions or being aware of prayer. If your life and your ethics and the way you treated other people were in disorder, you had to turn from sin in order to do that. You had to be in right relationship with God and with other people to pray perfectly. It's a very practical thing. At the most basic, get along with people. Be nice to each other. outdo each other in taking care of needs of the community. Help someone without them knowing it. What I also like about Cassian is he recognized the beginnerness. I know that's not a word, but it is tonight. He was firm, but he was also gentle and consistent across all the beginners. He was willing to share his experience of prayer and love with others. He recognized the ability and the call of women. And he took along a friend and then made many other friends. He faced tough times and worked through them. That's why I like this guy. Not only do the medieval references really hit hard about Cassian and some of the things he said, and I love medieval literature and some of the writings that we have, but Benedict himself talked about this, and I think that that's good for us, even as Dominicans. Okay, so we're mendicant. We don't stay in one place. Neither did he. He moved around a lot. It's okay. He took risks. He did what he was asked as much as he could. And when he got in trouble, he did penance for it outside the monastery for however many days till the abbot let him back in. But he gave us a clue how to be in right relationship with each other. I think it's worth picking up once in a while these pieces from our history. That's one of the reasons I like doing these presentations. There are things about our past that I don't ever want to really lose. I don't have to live in the past, but I want to take those treasures and bring them forward and say, what about that person can I use in my life today? I think Cassian has a few things to say. Again, in this community, we already observe those. The time before prayer is prayer. Be in right relationship with each other. Everybody works. Big thing with Cassian. Keep your hands busy. You'll see that in the institutes. I think the guy is worth looking at. And no, I didn't read all of my notes. There's still more. But it's time for questions. Any questions?